Now, to explain what I have come to understand about our alien visitors both in the past and the present, the history. Now, from what they have allowed me to gather and understand, this is the story. Of course, they have shown me evidence, and I have seen the archives of their account on this subject, and its credibility does hold up to other accounts to various cultures that we have found traces. That align with this information. The story goes like this. Once long ago, before the creation of the Earth, existed a species that we have come to call the Anunnaki. Their home world was suffering a destructive cataclysmic ending they could not avoid. They tried numerous ways and experiments, colonizing other worlds, adjusting the atmosphere of other worlds to sustain their species, technology that could recreate their kind after the danger passed. But nothing they had designed was successful enough to ensure their survival. Their world was orbited by a sun somewhere between the Alpha Centauri and the stars. Just when they thought all hope was lost, they had an encounter with an intangible presence that called itself the Creator. This being had made an agreement with them to help ensure the survival of their species from extinction. For this, the being asked that they create a prototype project it helped them design that was much like the terraformer ship from the E.T. movie, but operated similar to the World Engine ship in the Superman movie. I'm using these references to easily describe their purpose. It was designed to be capable of creating a life-sustaining world from a mere asteroid object, equipped with the means to create an atmosphere, biodiverse enriched ecosystem capable of sustaining life and everything. The Creator being gave instructions for it to be sent to this system's coordinates and integrated himself into its onboard systems. Unfortunately, before its tests could be finished, the planet went into its final phase of destruction, and the ship was forced to launch itself without its assigned crew and act on pure autonomous command. The planet had also seemingly fallen into a massive civil war, when the general public learned of the truth of the immediate threat that their leaders had denied and their plans to ensure only the elite among them survived first before all others. They had created a type of legend of this being and their encounter, a symbol known to use as a pyramid with a circle above it with two objects orbiting round the top of the pyramid and two figures standing beside the pyramid with a beam of light shooting up from the pyramid. This symbol represents the version of God as he revealed himself to them. The story was that he was one of the beings. The other slumbered inside one of the stars that orbited their world, as did he at one point, but he had awoken to come and help them. This is the true origins of the ones we know as Enki and Enlil. Enki is the one that we have come to call the Creator God, and Enlil is the slumbering brother of Enki. They did not know much of what Enlil's role was, as he was always described as the slumbering one. To fill in their accounts of Enlil's description, his role and responsibilities was that he was one of the two beings that first began the formation of the universe at the beginning of existence and began the inertia of the motion of the stars through the skies. We know Enlil as Lucifer, son of the morning star and bearer of the first dawn in creation. The unfortunate end of the Anunnaki species is smothered in a civil conflict that raged even after the destruction of their home world that eventually led to the extinction of their species, mostly. Their technology and clone hybrid projects are all that was left after the last of them died, and they continued their war long after they were all dead. It what they were created for. But after a long time of conflict, they were able to overcome this obstacle and made many efforts to maintain peace between them, as the Anunnaki civil war split the species into two factions: the wise Anunnaki, who sought enlightenment and knowledge, and the warring Anunnaki who sought conflict and resolution from their know-it-all brothers.
Approaching invasion force detected. Initiating defense protocol. Awaken the Supreme High Council from their digitized hyperbolic stasis. System detects unauthorized access to primary command from external port. Lucifer protocol compromised. Shut down primary contingency.
Four, three, two, one.
Meanwhile, here in our system, the ship arrived and terraformed the Earth from an asteroid that orbited in a perfectly simulated state of symbiosis with our Sun and the other planetary objects that it calculated through its simulated program would form alongside Earth. It performed its pre-programmed mission as it was meant to, and once the Earth cooled, it landed and created the atmosphere through the pyramid-like structures that were positioned across the Earth in geometric symmetrical alignment. Tesla had discovered the ruins of one of these structures and the remnant design of what he later reverse-engineered into what they labeled the Doomsday Device, an arc generator of immense proportions that required some elements not found on our world, but could be synthetically designed by smelting gold with other elements that they called the alchemical philosopher's stone. Smelted at 3,600 and then cooled in sub-freezing temperatures found at the bottom of the Marianas Trench, along with the pressure needed to fuse the mixed elements to create the material needed to bridge the arc generator's output and transform it into an atmospheric shielding emulator. This whole process, when put together, created the template that became our atmosphere and shields us from danger, allowing complex life forms to develop in just a fraction of the time it would take for a world to naturally develop these things. The land mass of the continents that are above sea level was created by the surrounding asteroids that were present when the Earth first formed. After all this had come to pass and the atmosphere was finished, Enki, who was on board within the ship's system along with Enlil, began the cycle of creating the biodiverse life and ecosystems of the planet, transferring himself from the ship onto the Earth through the Tree of Life, where he worked with the ship in the outline of what and when and where the template of these life forms would be created. Many technological terms to explain in full what and how everything happened, which is not necessary nor was it meant for men to know. But that is the origin and source of the technology that the U.S. and other countries have been gathering and are fully aware of its existence, but do not know the full details of the how and whys because their greed and desire have been seen as an unhealthy ambition that would try to weaponize this knowledge in some way. This is why there are and always have been alien visitors here on Earth, but they do not usually communicate with us, or if they do, they erase the experience and remove all evidence of their presence. Here, they do this because they're remnants of the technology of those who first created this world. So they occasionally check to see how we are developing, for our evolution carries a symbol of hope with them. Mankind is the result of the effort of God's promise to the Anunnaki, the promise of their survival from extinction. That is why it seems we have alien DNA encoded within our genetic data, and if we can evolve and rise to this realization, then it could mean the return of their creators to the universe. Decorum. How should humanity take this information? It is my advice that humanity take this and understand that they are, in their ways of understanding, like foreign dignitaries when in their presence. They should be humble in conversation, but also realize that everything they say and every intention behind what they do will be taken under delicate consideration because we, as a species, could be the ones who dictate what and how they shall be one day, if we evolve into a sentient and universally peaceful species to all those we may encounter, like their creators once were before the Civil War split them and led to their destruction. As it stands now, we are still but experiments, prototypes of something that could be one day. However, as far as Enki, or God, is concerned, He has honored his agreement with them, and his name shall be honored across the stars through their remnant technology. They are fully aware of all these things, but have remained uneasy and silent because of the delicate evolution of their creator's project and the importance of its success. That should fill in all the questions in the gaps of what mankind already knows.
Also know that it is important that mankind still knows only what is necessary so that things like Roswell never happen, and that this trend of reverse engineering pirate scavenging stops before we dig ourselves into a hole of factory defective merchandise that needs to be sent to the disassembly line.
I think that is a subtle threat.
Not to worry about the dissidents who violate the warning on coming to this world that they all are clearly aware of and have been warned about. They will be handled in the strictest of ways.
Oh, this message is for me.
The interstellar justice that I assumed was out there somewhere has arrived to enforce regulations so I can relax.
Backup is here, yay.
Sound impossible to what our minds can grasp and understand, there is something else very strange and unexpected that was discovered by astronomers in 2008. They found that galactic clusters were all streaming in the same direction at over 3,218,688 kilometers per hour. It's a phenomenon called dark flow. This movement of galaxies defies all predictions about the distribution of mass throughout the universe after the Big Bang. So what is the mysterious gravitational pull on all these galaxies? One possible cause could be massive structures that are outside of the Hubble volume that are exerting a massive gravitational influence. In simpler terms, massive objects with a huge gravitational force pulling everything towards them. If true, this would mean that the structure of the infinite universe beyond our view is not uniform. No one knows what these structures could be. It's possible they're aggregations of matter and energy on scales we can barely fathom, or they could be gravitational forces of other universes. Speaking of massive structures, there is one in our universe that's so big that it shouldn't even exist. In fact, it's the biggest structure in the observable universe. It's called the Hercules Corona Borealis Great Wall, and it measures 10 billion light-years across. It's so big that it makes up 11% of the observable universe. To put this further into perspective, if you were traveling at the speed of light, it would take you 10 billion years to get from one end to the other. So why shouldn't it exist? The problem is that astronomers have no idea how this Great Wall formed only a few billion years after the Big Bang, and could have grown so big in such a short time. This means there could be giant structures like these out there pulling on everything, including space. One day it could very well rip apart the fabric of space-time itself. And speaking of gravitational forces from other universes, some astronomers believe that the post-Big Bang expansion of the universe created bubbles that formed in the structure of space, and each of these bubbles is an area that stopped stretching along with the rest of space and formed its own universe with its own physical laws. In this scenario, not only is space infinite, but each bubble is also infinite, because it can store an infinite number of infinities inside a single infinity. To make that seem a little more clear, even if you could breach the boundary of our bubble, the space in between bubbles is still expanding. So in the reality of space-time, you could never get to the next bubble, no matter how fast you travel.
Step closer. Allow me to show you the path of your destiny. Your future is in the cards. The hand of fate has cast a shadow over your life. Your horizons are bleak, and darkness fills the path before you. A storm is coming. Beware. Beware.
Must remember, no matter what happens to me, I will never be far away from my special little starfire. It always seems more quiet in the dark. It always feels so stark, how silence grows under the moon. Constellations gone so soon. I used to think that I was bold. I used to think love would be fun. Now all my stories have been told, except for one. As the stars start to align, I hope you take it as a sign that you'll be okay. Everything will be okay. And if the seven rings collapse, although the day could be my last, you will be okay. When I'm gone, you'll be okay. And when creation goes to die, you can find me in the sky upon the last day, and you will be okay. In the great expanse of the Nether, there exist boundless amounts of magnificent phenomena. The great brilliance of an exploding star, the nimble dance of space dust through a nebula. But once every 1,000 years, our corner of reality is treated to an incredible sight. From the deep eldritch recesses of the cosmos, the tears of a forgotten colossus begin to fall. Tears made of the hopes and dreams of every living thing that never came to be, condensed and sent shooting across the night sky in a dazzling final display. What appears to mortal beings as a meteor shower, we can see for what it is. Azathoth's tears.
Daddy, can we go see it someday?
Yes, dear, I promise. When the day comes, nothing will be able to keep me from being there with you. Good night, my owlet.
Good night.